interface design and interaction design and supporting people and their behavior. Now, in the introduction, Marie explained that I am with Virtual Harmony, and that's a group of researchers. Um, we've been working together since 2008. So
And
I'm with an
before
article
that,
for the
we had all
Education
command
Review
line
for their back to
processing. And,
school edition.
and Ben
And I was
Schneiderman out
invited
of the
to this
University of
group.
Maryland is
It's
considered,
led
he's
by
called the father
Professor
of
Andy
direct
Snicker and
manipulation.
Elsa
Just
Quinnell.
wiggle your
People
fingers
that
for a
I went
moment,
to high
okay?
school with.
He gave us
And then
the
we went to
ability to,
college together. And then I didn't see him for 29 years. And then he called me out of the blue because I wrote that article. I'm looking at the chat. So let me know if you have any questions. And so he invited me to be part of this research team. And on the weekends, we have designed 21 grids of content in Open Simulator. We used to have an archipelago, a military archipelago here in Second Life, but during the great, migration, we lost those regions. But we've been integrating AI into our virtual world experience. And so I'm showing you a little image behind the scenes of some of our website and our so we have a bibliography that has over 1,500 works that we've woven in to our research and into our practice and into our virtual world synthesis, where we have the Red Queen. How many of you remember the Red Queen from Resident Evil? I know it's, or from Alice in Wonderland. That's probably the thing that you're most familiar with. But we're thinking of AI as not always benevolent. Sometimes it's not as often. That's right, Max. It's not always as easy to use as you'd think. And we use machine learning. We use neural networks. And so some of these technologies you see here, for the AI simulations that you see on screen, that is part of the Mars expedition. If you recall, in 2010, we won $25,000, the grand prize, in the first Federal Virtual World Challenge at Defense Game Tech, and it spearheaded some of our later work. And now we've gone way beyond this, and we've integrated quite a bit of NASA content, and of course have some amazing experiences. But what we also have is we have a system that monitors your behavior if you're playing our games, and it monitors how you think and reason. And it thinks about the things you do and the questions you ask it. You can ask questions of the Red Queen, and it has an ontology, and it will classify what you're doing, and it will think about it and keep ranking and prioritizing and trying to understand it better. So it has this AI assessment piece, and it has analytics. And while we have much of it in OpenSim using open source software, we also have shadowing in the Amazon cloud. We have it on Lambda, and we have it on a couple other resources. We are using SageMaker for those of you who are doing AI and using various tools. And of course, and I am watching the time, I don't want to get nerded out on the tools, right? Um, what's interesting is we were so successful with what we were doing, and Dr. Stricker was writing an AI blog. Every week, he would put out a short paper with a lot of research in it and send it to 129 members of the Pentagon and around the country. And they liked it so much they classified our work. So I can't give you the links to these sites at the moment, but they are working up a declassified version. So stay tuned, but that's the AI blog down there on the lower left. So moving along, this is just a quick shot at our architecture. We're not going to dwell on this. You have the slides, and if you're ever curious, I always like to show you behind the scenes, how do we host this and what are we doing, right? But we're going to get to the fun stuff, the AI art and all the cool stuff. And you may be wondering, why do we call it STEAMy? Well, of course, it's STEAM. It's science, technology, mathematics, and the arts. Without that creativity piece that inspires me so, that sets fire. Because you have to realize all the stuff I'm showing you, I do for free as a volunteer, and I've done so for over 15 years, right? Now, in my day job, hey, Rhiannon, welcome. All I've been doing so far is setting the scene with the early stuff. And by the way, the slide I showed you with the TensorFlow stuff and the neural networks, that was for my AI class. So I have my teaching practice, right? And then I have my research practice, and the two come together beautifully in the virtual world. Without the virtual world and a way of simulating games and leadership activities, and we simulate plane crashes to understand the power of communications. We simulate medical bioinformatics and research to study those intricacies. We simulate what would it take to breathe on Mars? What would it take to fly there? What would it take to eat? And I know you're thinking it's going to take a lot more than you, and you're absolutely right. But that's okay. I believe in the power of collective wisdom and in many voices investigating and thinking using different tactics and strategies than we've used in the past. And of course, you know what I'm basing it on. How many of you are aware of Fold It? Give me a yes or no in the text chat. Hey, Phil, so good to see you. Anyone heard of Fold It? Give me a yes or no. Okay, good. There's some no's. Folded in 2010 or maybe 2011, the years flow by, right? Gamers in 2 to 3 weeks using this protein folding game that's free out of the University of Washington were able to solve the HIV protease. Have you ever wondered why we don't hear about HIV as this deadly, terrible thing as we did in the past? Yeah, now you remember, and that's good. So, so using those tactics of crowdsourcing, and here's what's so interesting: we're not just crowdsourcing a knowledge base. People ages 6 through 72 or older can grab a little piece of the puzzle and just tinker with it. They don't have to have prior knowledge about the process. And here's what I think is beautiful about it: they don't know their limitations. They don't know the science necessarily. So they don't have to worry about getting it wrong or looking bad. Most of us have the burden of I don't want to look foolish, right? We don't want to make mistakes. We don't get caught. And so we have this terrible burden. And of course, scientists had worked on this for more than 10 years, and it would be unfair to say that they were unsuccessful due to one thing or another. I think anytime we're simulating a supercomputer and putting hundreds of thousands or more people against a problem or systems, we get some interesting results, right? In any event, this slide here is just showing you the SageMaker dashboard and some of the things we can do and look at, but it's not showing you any data because we went under a classification. So even though I do not have a of security clearance. I've had several in the past. Many of you know I used to work for Air Force Space Command in a mirror image of the Situation Room, running the large wall screens that you might have seen in the movie War Games if you watched movies in the 80s, right? And there we are. Yeah, it's not showing any data, and that's why it's not. We cannot show data in any event. Um, but I did want you to know that we're working on these things and that this is a crowdsourced effort from not just military. I'm civilian. I work for 5 universities, including Colorado Technical University, where I've taught for 27 years. And I'm passionate about research. Now, Joyce, we're moving into your content, so I'm going to pass the microphone over to you, and she's going to talk about AI generated content. I'm going to wait till your sound comes on, Joyce. I don't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. You sound great.
Okay. Sorry, today's been a whirlwind. I left myself logged in AFK after Nonprofit Commons while I went to go get my much delayed physical. But all, seemingly all is okay. So hello, everybody. I will try to talk a little slower too, since that's a thing. Um, uh, some of you, and I'm sure Lear mentioned this too, but I'm going to pull, besides the links that are right in front of you, which I'll put in chat um, for later, and we'll paste this again later. But that's the link to the slides that you're seeing here. There's a resource doc, and I'm sure Lear probably mentioned too that this is kind of one of a series, like it sort of jumped originally from an OSCC workshop that then we've been kind of modifying and customizing a bit depending upon audience and bringing a bit a bit more or less on the hands-on workshopy nature. And she may have mentioned too that we will be doing the VW MOOC, which will be a bit more hands-on-y, workshopy, hopefully. So yes. So yeah, you can look at those things later. There is also as I go through things, and you'll see the list on this thing here, but uh, there's also a link for on our Avicon Discord server. We have Blue Willow and Midjourney integrated into it, and because both of those happen to use Discord as a way to prompt those AI models in order to create images. So we sort of did a bot add-on in both of those places. Blue Willow is open source AI image generator, and Midjourney is a very popular one and probably the one with the most sort of the best, quickest results if you're looking for image creation. Um, and then also there's that Pinterest board link that ha has a bunch of stuff we'll talk about, and then a lot of other things, a lot of videos too to reference to from both in uh, kind of to she just pulled the content for this. Great. So, the slide that we have on here right now, and one of the things that we've done in these presentations before, and not getting kind of but you're probably familiar with generated content. Um, uh, how many of you have played with uh, AI generated um, related tools like Google Bard, ChatGPT? The other thing I wanted to bring up, and we won't get into this too much, but I shared the link before, even with Marie Vans and Ellie. Let me grab that link again. Another, though, very relevant for many of you who are educators. I didn't include this link yet because it's kind of a more recent thing. Like within the last, I think since CES, which is the computer electronics show that happened maybe about a month ago. Um, Many of you may know Saul Khan, who is from Khan Academy, who's the founder of that. He also is working with ChatGPT with OpenAI to integrate a very perfected or perfected to what they want, right, to the needs of an educator, where and some of the shortcomings